everybody, I'm Trudy, One Grounded Angel. This is the weekly angel card reading video for the week beginning Monday, October 22nd to Sunday the 28th, 2018. That's a lot of twos and a lot of eights for the year 2018. Okay. Oh, I've just shuffled Monday, but I realise I do need to tell you something before I, spoiler alert, read this card. So we have a Taurus full moon happening this week on the 24th, which would be Wednesday. Obviously, it depends whereabouts in the world you are as to whether that hits you Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever. But so check if you really want to. But to be honest, I don't really get too concerned about when exactly the full moon will hit because I know the energy is building up towards that and either side, which is why I'm talking to you about it now before I start with Monday, because you may already be feeling this. So Taurus is the second sign, and it is a sign associated with, it's a very grounded sign. So you may, if you are struggling with the energy at the moment, it may be because you're spending too much time indoors, too much time invested in things that don't matter or do matter, but you're giving them too much bandwidth. So work, or maybe you're getting too consumed with household stuff that isn't actually that, isn't actually that critical. And maybe you just actually need to unwind by going outside and spending some more time around things that are growing to remind you of what matters, which is quite pertinent to Monday's card. Also Taurus associated with money. So that's appropriate at the moment. We have Venus in retrograde. Venus is the ruler of Taurus. So Taurus is associated with money. And the interesting thing about the Venus retrograde is it's happening. I'm getting too deep here, I can tell. I'll try and say this very fast. The retrograde's happening in the sign of Scorpio. Scorpio rules many things. One of the things it rules is shared investments. So you have the money thing here and the money again with the Taurus full moon. So what you can take from that, I know that sounds a lot, what you can take from that is be very careful about decisions you make about money, especially if they're combined with a partner or a business partner or parent or whatever. Be very careful. You don't want to rush into anything right now. You need to dot all the I's and cross all the T's, and you need to do all your research. Be very thorough with your financial choices. We may see some things happening around the world. The financial situation of the world is a little bit volatile at the moment, so look, who knows what will happen. And maybe, just be careful, because Taurus is also a sign of excess. So I always joke that Taurians are the sign of indulgence because they like the finer things in life, a bit like Libra, also ruled by Venus. So that doesn't mean, unlike Libra, they will tend to go too far. They often will get too much. They can be hoarders, and they can also eat too much because it's also the sign of food. So you may be tempted to overindulge. No judgment here. But just be careful of any tendency to overindulge at the time, whether it's food, alcohol, shopping, whatever it is. Just be aware that you may be guided by things that outside yourself, because often your brain will tell you that that's what you need and that will make you feel better. You may be guided towards those choices for escapism. They actually won't help you. Instead, what you want to do is return to more simple pleasures, being outside in nature. Those sorts of things will calm you much better than retail therapy will. Hopefully that made sense. I hope I didn't sound also like I was banging out Taurians. I wasn't at all. They're a very grounded sign, and so they're great to talk to if you need help. What I wrote my astrology column for October because of the Venus retrograde. We didn't want it to be about what was happening this month. We wanted it to be about each sign's approach to love. And I did mention in the Taurians, they're fine with being single. They don't tend to jump into relationships that aren't working or that aren't right for them. They would rather be single than be in the wrong relationship. So they are very grounded in that sense. They can make very good choices. I don't mean to sound like I'm bagging out the sign of Taurus, because when you're grounded, you are much better able to see what is right for you. You're not stuck in your head. That's the part of you that's consumed with worry and worry about and consumed with what people think of you. Consumed is an appropriate word to use. I think I've spent too much time talking about this. Let's move on. Monday. Simplify your life. As I said, it's appropriate to that Taurus kind of energy. We did have this a few weeks ago. It means you've spread yourself too thin, and it's asking you to come back to what really matters. There are so many things in society that tell you that having the perfect house matters, having the perfect body, looking the right way, blah, 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 blah. This card reminds you none of that stuff matters. Come back to what matters. Spending quality time with your kids and with your family. Looking after yourself with good nutrition and with exercise and with enough sleep. Those are the things that matters, and really being present and enjoying what you have, gratitude. That probably sums it up pretty well. Yeah, I'm going to go to this one now. For Tuesday the 23rd, brilliant idea. This is the lightning bolt card. I'm going reverse. The lightning bolt card. Oh, this isn't going well today, never mind. So this card asks you to pay attention to any ideas you might have that might strike you like a lightning bolt. And also for some of you, they're saying it's things you already know, ideas that have already been given you that you have been going, oh no, too hard. Oh no, I can't do that. Oh no, I'm not the right person. Oh no, I'm not good enough. Oh no. Whatever it is that keeps coming into your head that you are dismissing, come back to that and really contemplate it and try and dispute the part of you that's saying no, and look at maybe it could be me. And if so, how am I going to do that? We had a card last week, first step, one step at a time, to look at how you can, I've just been told it's got the wrong deck here, how you can actually get started on that, because it's probably going to be, even though there are reasons it might not work, there could also be reasons that you'll get something out of it. Wednesday, Orphaned. This is a very dark card. It's actually not, the message is not dark, but it looks that way. And brilliant artist on this. I will tag her when I post this card because I always get comments. Her name is Jenna, and I've forgotten her surname, but it depicts so beautifully what it's like to feel alone. All of us feel alone, and that is one of the great ironies of life, is that all of us are wandering around feeling that no one understands us and that we don't belong anywhere, whereas in fact that is a common thread, so we are all the same essentially in that regard anyway. So this card is sort of, it's the angels reaching out and wrapping their wings around you and telling you you're not alone and you're not lost. So it's okay if you do feel that way. I'm not saying don't feel that way, but I'm saying try to take some comfort in the fact that it's not just you. Everybody feels this way, and that's because we are emerging into an age where we're finally getting licensed to live life our own way instead of having to conform to the idea of, the white picket fence and you must go and have the same job for all your life and do what everybody tells you to do and look this way and etc. So, and we're finally getting to an age where you can make up your own job and be your own boss, and you don't have to stay in one relationship, and you don't have to have kids if you don't want to, and you don't have to live in the same place or buy a house or anything like that. Anyway, that can be really confronting to people who are holding on to this idea of conformity for safety. They want to follow these rules because they feel that they will have everyone's approval if they do that, and they feel secure in that they believe life will work out a certain way. But if you ask anyone who's divorced, they certainly will be able to tell you that things don't, if you follow the conventional path, that is not necessarily a guarantee that things are going to work out. And maybe that's for your own good. Another tangent, how unexpected. So let me just try and get some bit of clarity around this because I feel I've been talking in circles. Try to come back to a place of peace instead of being all up in your head and all this energy of I don't belong here, nothing's right, I've made a huge mistake, I've screwed up my life, no one loves me, and just try to come back to that connection, because when we're in alignment with the divine, we're connected to the truth, to our own intuition. You don't really have those feelings because you know that you're enough. If you are struggling with feelings of, this is a long time pattern for you of not feeling like you're good enough and not feeling like anyone loves you, there might be some work for you to do there. I feel that's probably pertinent for some of you. But for many of you, try to understand this is just going to pass. This idea that you don't belong. You are good enough. You do belong. And, we're all struggling with this idea that you're not. So try to resist that. Fear wears a lot of different disguises, and it lies. It really does. So Oh, Thursday, shield yourself. So some of those ideas I just discussed that make us feel really crappy, maybe they're coming from outside yourself, and so some shielding might be helpful to protect you from taking them on board. The ideas of no one loves me, or I'm not good enough, that might be because you've taken on someone else's ideas of, who's protecting their own stuff onto you, or maybe it's just consumed by their own stuff and pushing it out, and you've just, because you're an empath or you're sensitive, you might have taken that on board. So some shielding can definitely help with this. Archangel Michael is the one to talk to for help, to shield yourself. I do it every single morning, and if I forget, I feel it pretty quickly, and even if I'm on the train or whatever, I will close my eyes, sometimes put my sunglasses on so no one can see, and just very quickly ask Michael to put a shield of light around me to protect me from lower energies, harsh energies, dark energies, anything that is not of the light. Because there are no guarantees that you will never encounter anyone who's negative. Oh gosh, I wish that could happen. Who is pessimistic, who is dealing with their own stuff and pushing it onto you. But if you've got the shield, you're not going to take it on board. It's not going to come into your energy field. You'll be aware of it. Might make you feel a bit crap, but it won't last. It will just go and it won't be your defining story. There was another card that jumped up with that, and I was debating whether to read it or not because I feel like the other one was more relevant, but I will. God is in charge. Now, replace the word God with the Creator, Source, the universe, whatever you want to use. I don't use the word God because it's very loaded. People associate it with institutional religion, which has burned so many of us. I like to use the universe. It's more neutral, but it's all the same, essentially. So please if you're provoked by the word God, please just substitute it out. But what this is asking you is that the universe is in charge and everything's going to be okay. It's a reassuring card letting you know that this chaos, there is some almost like this method in the madness. There is a point to it. It is all going to work out. It is all going to add up to something. It's going to make sense one day. So try to relax and let go of your fear that you're on some sort of destructive path, a downward spiral of some sort. You're not. It's going to be okay. Just try to find some peace within the drama or the chaos, unless of course that's something you're creating yourself, in which case you've got some work to do. Friday I don't think I've done a very good job of shuffling that. What's that card? Courage. I like this yellow theme. I mean, these cards are all yellow anyway, but I just feel like these cards are connected because of their colouring and they're very live out loud kind of messages. This card is asking you to be brave. I do feel like I'm oversimplifying a bit when I say I'll just be brave. It's not always that easy, but I think the decision to be brave is choosing to listen to the voice of love instead of the voice of fear. The voice of fear is the one telling you that you're not good enough and that you'll fail. The voice of love is the one that says, have a go anyway. It doesn't mean that things are necessarily guaranteed, but it means that you need to move through this block, because if you don't, you'll remain stuck. And so sometimes the choice to do something different is not necessarily born of bravery, but of the desire to get away from what you're doing and to get yourself unstuck. And that's a good motivation to do it as well. Sometimes people make choices that I consider brave, and it's because they feel like they've got no choice. They couldn't stay where they were. I think I'm sorry, I'm really not getting any read on this card. I don't know what to tell you about it. I guess maybe it's because it is designed to be so simplistic, and just to channel some courage and to be aware of where you might be listening to fear instead of love. Courage is something that isn't about the big stuff. It's about the everyday choices. Courage to take a different approach. I think the reason I was struggling with that one is I was trying to overcomplicate it, and maybe I just need to let it stand as is, just to be brave. Speaking of simple, believe. So faith is about knowing, this is my favourite quote, I know I use it all the time, Faith is about taking the first step, even though you can't see the whole staircase. I think it's so. The reason I repeat it, in fact, I use it a lot in my personal readings. If you've been a client of mine, I probably would have told you that one. It's so simple, but it's so appropriate. The reason we often don't want to make changes is because we don't know where they're going to go. Well, if I do this, what does that mean? Will things be worse? Will that take me in the wrong direction? And if something feels right, sometimes you just need to go with that and know that you can't worry about that big picture stuff. You just need to go with, this is right for me right now. I'm going to go with it, and we'll see what happens after that. That was very much me when I moved to Sydney. It was the second time because it didn't make sense. I'd lived here before. It had been okay. It hadn't necessarily been right. I wasn't running away from anything. There didn't seem any point, but I knew that it was right for me to come back here, and so that's why I did. Also, I'd had a reading confirming it, which helps. So you just need to have faith. You don't need to know the full story. That can be really difficult for some people who come to me for readings because they want to know how the story ends, and unfortunately, that's just not how things go. And if you look back on choices you've made in your life, they might not have gone the way you expected them to, or even the way you wanted them to, but with the wisdom of hindsight, you can usually see that they were meant to happen. And, things that look terrible on paper needed to happen sometimes. And divorce is a classic example of that. A lot of business people and entrepreneurs will tell you that business failures were sometimes their greatest lessons, and they learn much more than that than they ever do from the successes. Sunday retreat, you need to get away. I talked about this at the start in terms of connecting with nature and getting out of your environment and needing to get back to the things that naturally replenish our energy rather than looking to caffeine and things like that to do it. Not that there's anything wrong with caffeine, by the way, unless you overindulge. What I'm saying is it's easy for us to rely on the things to keep us going. Actually, sometimes we just need to pull the plug completely and get out of town, to be in the bush, to be next to a lake, whatever it is, just to really pull away from where we are. The retreat, one of the best ways you can retreat is to get away from your phone, stay off social media for a day. It's amazing what peace that will give you. And it will also alert you to your patterns and how much you depend on it to avoid thinking about things that actually warrant reflection. The minute you're on social media, you're consuming your brain with things that don't matter. Although I know social media can be a wonderful instructor of things that we do need to focus on. Hopefully my messages are in that category for you. So it's not all bad is what I'm saying. Talking more about the mindless kind of scrolling, and heaven knows I need to pull back on that. I should also mention with that retreat card, it might be a literal retreat in terms of, some sort of, maybe if you've been looking at a yoga or a meditation retreat. If you have, this would be your sign to go for it, and that's a good idea for you. Sometimes it's just about needing to get away. Okay, what have we got in terms of our themes here? It's all a bit scattered. I think a bit of a mixed bag. I do think these two cards are connected in terms of having faith. These two. I haven't done that very well. That beautiful yellow again, and in terms of trusting your intuition. Again, simplifying and getting away from things are really important. And, if this retrograde or any sort of planetary movements or even just events in your life are stirring things up for you, the best way you can make sense of all of that is to get away from your environment, the things that are overstimulating you, to find some peace, because we can't hear our intuition all that clearly when our minds are too busy. We need to turn down the volume. You can never turn it down completely, of course. Even when you're asleep, you're getting messages, but you need to be able to, the more quiet it is, the easier those messages come through, which is why our dreams can be very potent in terms of instructional messages from the divine. Thank you very much for watching. I'm going to put this on my social media as I do, every card, every day, at One Grounded Angel for my Instagram, and my Facebook page is One Grounded Angel. Thank you very much for all your love and support and encouraging messages. I love hearing from you guys about what these cards mean to you, because I put these out there in a vacuum. I've no idea how they're going to land. I've no idea what everybody's going through or where they're at in their lives, because everybody is so different. Although, as I said, we're all the same. We're all struggling with ideas about, or fears about identity and not belonging and not feeling there's a place for us in this world. and I'm certainly not exempt from that. So that's it for the week. I'll put these on my social media, and you can reach me if you would like at www.onegroundedangel.com on the bookings form there. You don't have to actually book in to use that. Just click on for more information when you submit that form. Thank you very much. Have a terrific week.